Hello everyone, this is ICBs here again, and today I'm going to be talking about how Marvel is becoming more and more like DC. And I was thinking about the state of Marvel recently, and it became kind of clear to me that Marvel is behaving more and more like DC. For example, Marvel introduced a lot of characters in Phase 4, but it only decided to move forward with the most popular character in that roster, and that was Loki, and Marvel gave Loki a season 2 without giving any other show or character a chance because they weren't as popular as Loki. And it's kind of understandable as well because the most content Marvel made in Phase 4 was absolutely horrendous. And I kind of understand why Marvel would want to move away from that, but I don't understand why Marvel would want to move away from a certain character, because a show could be the bad element, not the character, because the characters are really popular in the comic books and people really love them. It's just that you fail to interpret them in the live action scene. So it's a failure on your part, not that the character wasn't popular enough to bring in the audience. For example, Iron Man wasn't a popular character, but you made a really good movie. Disney didn't make Iron Man, Marvel did, because Marvel and Disney were separate entities when Iron Man 1 was made. So yeah, Iron Man 1 was a really unknown character and Marvel made it a really good and popular character that everyone loved. So when Disney is taking these unpopular characters and giving them their own shows and people don't like them, it's not because people don't like the characters, it's because your show is really bad. And people might crucify me for even saying it, but I would like to see a season 2 of She-Hulk. Am I a big fan of the first season of She-Hulk? Absolutely not. I hate it. But I would like that character to be used in the future iteration of some other season for some other character. I would like to know that She-Hulk is still part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Same with Bucky or any other character that they introduced. For example, Shang Chi. We haven't heard from him. And the Eternals. They were a thing in a single Marvel movie and then we forgot about them. I don't understand why Marvel is introducing a lot of these characters and then simply abandoning them. This is very similar to what DC did, because in the earlier days DC only seemed to be moving forward with the movies that made a lot of money, and when Zack Snyder's movie Batman vs Superman only brought in $800 million, I think DC executives were really unimpressed by that and they decided to can Zack Snyder's ass. And then they brought in Joss Whedon, the guy who made the first Avengers movie, and that lowered the quality of the Justice League movie that much more. It made much less money, but DC kept trying to experiment with the tone of their universe and trying to shift it to be more like Marvel's because they thought that would make more money. They made an Aquaman movie which somehow made $1 billion, and then they made a second movie which didn't really do too well. They made a Shazam movie which was kind of catering more towards the children, and that made some money but not so much, and they decided to make a second part of that movie and that really bombed as well. So I think Warner Bros really messed up the first time they thought they weren't making as much money with Batman vs Superman, where they made $800 million, which is probably the most money they've made in their universe if we don't count Aquaman. And yeah, ever since then they've only gone downhill, because instead of seeing the quality of the movie, they only see how much money that it's generating. I get that every company has to look at the financial aspect of things, but ever since then DC has only gone downhill, and I'm kind of afraid that Marvel is doing the same thing with their universe, where they're only catering to the most popular character and not really focusing on what their vision about their universe is. Because if they make a second season about a really popular show, then what the hell is their plan? Because before, Marvel used to have a really solid plan. They had movies planned out and you knew they were going to make their movies. It wasn't like DC where they announced a lot of movies but never really followed through any of their plans. That's what made Marvel different. Marvel used to have a plan, and I'm afraid that's kind of changing because Marvel seems to be chasing trends. And I'm afraid to say that if Marvel continues to do what they're doing, it's going to very soon end up like DC's universe. So I've explained a lot of the problems with Marvel, so what's the solution? Well, the solution could be the obvious thing where they make a big Avengers level movie and they introduced a lot of those characters in that movie so that they can come together and interact with one another, making it feel like a very cohesive and connected, united universe. But that could be a really expensive investment for Marvel to make, so what could could be a cheaper way of doing this thing? Well, they could make a newer season with any character, and then they could introduce the characters that they made previously in that newer season, so that we know that these characters exist in the same universe. So it's going to be a smaller scale thing, but the idea is the same thing, that you are still using the characters and you are still making it feel like a cohesive united universe, because it doesn't feel that way right now, where you have Shang Chi and you have Eternals, and they don't seem like they exist in the Marvel universe. That those movies may as well be standalone Marvel solo movies, because we don't know if they connect into the Marvel universe except for some post-credit scenes. So yeah, those are my solutions. Let me know what your solutions could be, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, it's time for a goodbye.